Hi, I'm Charles Payne, and welcome to Making Money Right Here, Right Now. That's exactly what we try to do every night. Making money by investing in the market, managing a portfolio. We do it with what we call the real deal. It concerns a couple of things. First, we know you get headlines on your smartphones. We know that you have stocks and they move. There's all kinds of knee-jerk stuff with the market. But the way to truly monitor handle these downdrafts in the market is you've got to peel away the layers. You've got to crunch the numbers. That's my job, here to help the investment pros with us. We've got Republican strategists with us. First time on the show, Didi Banky. I know you're always ready to rumble, so I won't even ask. And our friend Jim Frischling, president of New Oak Capital, he's back with us as well. And our normal crew, Matt. Where are you, Matt?
They can't everybody see you can't even find me.
Matt McColl's with us. Tracy, they're playing musical chairs, and of course Heatha. All right, guys, not a lot to laugh about in the market, so let's dig into our first real deal here. All right, listen, I'm going to go straight to you, Matt. The market, I'm telling you, people are going to see the Dow was off 100. It was a lot worse than that.
It was. I mean, you and I, we have a lot of high flyers and more momentum stocks, high beta. They got crushed today. I mean, the oil and gas stocks had absolutely demolished. Some of them hitting 1-2-year lows. And I think a lot of that's to do with China, Charles. I think last night we were expecting when the finance minister spoke in China to come out and have the stimulus program. He basically said we're not going to do a stimulus program. The numbers coming out, the industrial output, it came out weakest pace in 6 years in China in August. And I think we're seeing a rotation now out of those high beta stocks, those high momentum stocks, into some of the more boring plays. And you're going to see the big winners get hit.
The gulf between the big blue chips, the S&P 500 and the Russell 2000 small caps, at the widest point in over 2 years. People aren't just trickling out of these names; they're stampeding out of them, Jim.
You know, I think the economic news that spooked some folks was the unexpected decline in existing home sales. First decline in 5 months, and again, and it was attributed to a lack of all cash buyers. All cash buyers, where are the loans to help folks buy homes? The fact is, the loan market is still tough. The lending market is still very challenging to be a qualified borrower, and that hits the consumer hard. It scares the consumer quite a bit, and it makes people get a little nervous about where we are in this recovery.
Although there's still that debate. Go ahead, Heatha.
No, but we knew that was coming. I mean, I've always been saying this for a while, and we're having a little bit of an improvement with the home sales, but it's not that much, and this is just an indication of that. We're going to go forward a little bit, and then we're going to take 3 steps back, and this is exactly it. All cash buyers, I mean, that makes complete sense. The banks are not ready to loan to the consumer yet, and so
although the big question is there demand there? But we've got some breaking news, guys. I've got to do it right now. Just coming out from the Treasury Department, they're announcing their first steps to reduce tax benefits for corporate inversions. I've got the release right in my hands. Today, the U.S. Department of Treasury and Internal Revenue Service, they've issued a notice that takes targeted action at reducing the tax benefits of, and when possible, to stop corporate tax inversions. This has been the real big news, but I got to tell you something. I'm going to blow the whistle right now because I think we have bigger news than this today. Let's open up a page from Payne's Investment Playbook. Here's the big question. Is America for sale? It was Merger Monday today, but the market still opened under a lot of pressure. Well, you know, maybe it's because these huge deals involved foreign suitors. In this case, Germany paying huge premiums for Sigma-Aldrich and Dresser-Rand. Now, these are 2 U.S. companies with massive international growth. They bring a whole lot more to the bottom line, though, for the new owners, which underscores the fact that, you know, taxes are so much better. Give you a fact. He's looking at Sigma-Aldrich. 38% of their revenue is in America, but 55% of their taxes are paid in America. Foreign investment and acquisition in the United States have been on the rise big time. They've been concentrated in the computer, electronics, manufacturing, financial, information tech. Look at that table on your screen. On the left-hand side, each year you can see the deals get higher and higher and higher and higher. Now, while many analysts are warning about the structure of Alibaba last week and Americans chasing Chinese companies, it's the Chinese who have been on the march in America. Since 2000, 869 major deals or acquisitions, almost $40 billion worth. In fact, in July, a $2 billion investment by a Chinese company in a Virginia fertilizer plant. So here's the real deal. Our corporate tax structure is way too high. It makes U.S. corporations sitting ducks for potential foreign investors. Heatha, what do you think about this?
I don't want to point the finger at China. I mean, I know that we've had, to your point with all the figures, there are a lot of companies here that have been here since 2000. But the 40 billion number is just a drop in the bucket when you compare it to England, for example, that since 2007 has had $253 billion.
I don't care where the buyers are coming from, but what I'm saying today, the buyers are German. What I'm saying, though, is that U.S. companies, when they start to expand around the world, they become sitting ducks because our taxes are so high. Either they do inversion, which, of course, the administration wants to stop, or they just get bought out.
Right. And that's, I mean, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. If they do get bought out, you know, we were talking about that Chinese paper company. They're in Virginia, for example, 2,000 jobs. That's what we need in this country. We need more jobs. I don't care where it's coming from. If it's coming from overseas, great. We need more jobs in this country.
Hey, listen, Jim, if you were a holder of Sigma Aldrich, you didn't probably care today either. These guys paid something like 6, almost 7 times revenue. I mean, they did $2.7 billion and they paid $17 billion for it. That's like someone with a pizza shop that made $1 million and someone paying them $6 million for it. Anybody here would sell that pizza shop, right?
That's absolutely right. There's two things at bay here. One is we do have a tremendous financial system that attracts international investment. Our corporate laws, our bankruptcy laws are the best in the world. The other thing that you hit home on is the tax issue. We are putting ourselves at a disadvantage. There are few and far between companies that can do an inversion. There are many companies that you're highlighting that still may, in foreign investment, might benefit from the tax benefit they create by taking us out.
But part of the reason they come here is because we give away the farm. The reason they went to Virginia is they gave a $5 million grant. Grant means it doesn't have to be repaid. So we're handing out money. We've been doing this since back in 1992 when we first started luring the auto plants. Heck, in 2006, the governor went over to Seoul to sign the deal, ink the deal, so that he can put a plant. Governor of I don't even know what state. Governor Sonny Perdue flew to Seoul to sign an agreement with Kia Motors and offered them a big fat subsidy package. I mean, we did it in Mississippi. Haley Barbour did it. Volkswagen did it in 2008. They came back after they abandoned us the first time. We give away the farm to these foreigners. Why wouldn't they invest in our states?
Good point. I mean, by the way, Tesla's getting over $1 billion in Nevada, right?
You know, to go back to this Sigma Aldrich deal, though, you know, why would they not do it? You know, Merck's tax rate in Germany is about 25%. Sigma's paying about 29%. That's not a big difference, Charles, but it is when it's billions of dollars that you're bringing in. It is a big difference. And this is more about, you know, the both CEOs said it's not about tax aversion. Of course, they're going to come out and say that. This is a global economy. Right. I mean, this isn't just the United States anymore. We need to realize that as Americans, this is a global economy. You mentioned 60% of sales outside.
First. I hear you all talking, your business folks, you know, and I'm more political. But, you know, how about America first? I mean, let's give some sort of deal and better deal. I mean, we do need to cut the tax, corporate tax, but also as consumers, you know, we should look forward buying American first.
Well, I'm going to ask you then, Didi, what's the deal with the Republicans on this? Because the White House is going to try to do this by executive fiat. They're going to change the rules. Everyone says we do have the highest corporate tax rate in the world. Everyone agrees that it should be changed. Why can't the Republicans be firmer on this? Or will they take a stand after the midterm elections?
Well, I agree. I think for the most part, the Republicans have been the leaders, maybe not leading strongly enough, but certainly Obama is very much against the one percenters, corporations and Wall Street. I mean, he is the enemy here to America. He's being very un-American to American businesses, and it's sad.
But if I may, it's the governor of Georgia who went over to Seoul to sign. I want to clear that up. But look, to your point about Made in America, Siemens came to the U.S. to build turbines to sell to Saudi Arabia. Why? Because Saudi Arabia would prefer to buy Made in America. So they're using us as a go-around, and we're still giving them money.
Well, that's got to stop. I mean, it really does. I mean, the corporate tax being so high, but also I think we need to stop saying, hey, too bad, we'll go with India, we'll go with China.
Yeah, but
it's not the best deal. I'm sorry. It's not the best deal, though, for America. We need American companies. We need to fight for American companies.
You're telling me every time you go out, you're buying American?
Yes.
That's BS. No, it's not true.
You're wrong. No. I always try to do that. I have a Ford. Because it's the most American-made car. You and everyone needs to think about as Americans.
That's not populist.
This is a very difficult thing to legislate.
Right.
These corporations, these CEOs have a fiduciary responsibility to deliver off their shareholders. And while I understand there are elements of that might cost jobs, the fact is that the economy, the world is flat. And at this point, you're going to have to migrate to where you can get the best available resources.
And I think we can all admit, I think this is some politics right here. I mean, we can't have the highest corporate tax rate in the world, and the president just harp on the fact that businesses are doing what anyone would do. By the way, tax season, people hired accountants, people go on the internet. Everybody tries to figure out how to get a lower tax rate. When that becomes un-American, then maybe we're all un-American. And that one final deal. Pabst Blue Ribbon today sold to the Russians. Are you kidding me?
Oh, no.
No. I mean, we're talking, Tracy, Colt 45, Old Milwaukee, Schlitz. Now, that's un-American. All right, guys, listen, don't miss my first stock suggestion. I've actually got two for you. They're coming up next. And also, the real cost of climate change. If it's a global problem, how come American taxpayers are the only ones on the financial hook? And we're talking billions, if not trillions. Hey, stay with us if you want to make money. Welcome back, and I want to pause right here out the gate. Let's open up yet another page from Payne's investment playbook. Now, on Sunday, the last official day of one of the coolest summers that I can remember, 300,000 or 400,000 protesters gathered in New York City to demand action on global warming. Now, the event, well, of course, it was led by Leonardo DiCaprio, which might not be enough star power to help this fading crusade, because today, well, it officially began this U.S. summit, and it boasts that we have 125 leaders from all kinds of different countries. They don't have the heads of state, though, from India, Russia, China, Germany, Australia. Heck, Stephen Harper is in New York, and he skipped this thing. Okay, you talk about embarrassing. Now, perhaps even more embarrassing is the fact that ice in the Antarctic, now 7.6 million square miles. That's an all-time record. And now, well, that brings us to our next real deal. Dee Dee, want to go back to you. President Obama has spent $120 billion in his first 5 years on this whole climate thing, and he wants to spend a whole lot more.
Yeah, we, remember going back to Solyndra, you have all those solar panels and warehouses somewhere, billions of dollars wasted, and it continues. But this time it's a political ploy because he's doing so badly, failing so miserably. This is a big distraction. Look, he's got all the unions out there. They were out there marching. You get the celebrities. Leonardo DiCaprio, even though he's Wolf of Wall Street, he looked like a wolf yesterday with that big old thing, And then you have all these actors, and he goes to Hollywood every time he gets desperate. So this is political. This is just a ploy. It's just a distraction, and it is on all the polls, and it's at the bottom of the list that Americans have an interest in.
But
Nobody cares.
Here's the funny thing. I saw your tweets. You were in the city yesterday, and I was shocked you didn't get out with your fellow tree huggers. What's the deal?
Because I'm a real environmentalist. That's why I was out there. That means I wasn't going to go out there protesting with big paper signs and wasting all of that garbage. So I talked
You mean you wouldn't go out with the styrofoam cups?
No, I went home and made some more homemade soap. But I talked to the Department of Transportation or Department of Sanitation here in New York. They were telling me that so much, they were going to get the exact figures from me, but tons of waste from this one protest. There were 400,000 people out there throwing out garbage, just dumping their signs. I mean, this is just an environmental, the carbon footprint, and just from people coming in on their trucks, on their flights, it's huge.
Yeah, I bet you the airport at Teterboro, which, by the way, is where all the rich people park in Jersey, must have been packed. Tracy, you did a great piece on this. You talked about the president's impact last week on coal. People need to understand that we've already started the war on fossil fuels, even though all the other large countries in the world have not. It's taken a serious toll.
And it's the Freedom of Information Act. Thankfully for it, we found some emails between the EPA and, say, the Sierra Club and all these other, left environmentalist type places, really in collusion, saying, let's do what we can to kill coal. And we know, Charles, there's so many coal companies that we don't even mention anymore because they're long gone. Many of the coal stocks are down about 80% at least this year. But U.S. Chamber of Commerce said that the EPA regs are going to cost about $51 billion in GDP this year. They're preventing the creation of 224,000 jobs. Everybody's electric bill is probably going to go up about $150. Coal mining employees down about 11% over the last 3 years. And this is the part that blows my mind. 200 coal mines have been shut down from 2006 to 2012.
Those are they were good paying jobs, Matt.
Yeah, to save the environment doesn't mean you have to kill the economy at the same time. And that's what's happening here. We're saving the environment by killing the economy, killing jobs, and hurting basically America. So to me, and I don't see this being an imminent threat. And I think most people don't. So it's tough to get real people behind you to change their life because they don't see something happening tomorrow because they know it's decades and centuries away.
I think Americans also, Didi, you look at 2013 emissions, right? China, number one by far, 28%, U.S. 14%, EU. The EU, they were down 2%, India 7%. These nations aren't even interested in the slightest about doing anything. They're using coal. China's got multi-decade agreements with Russia, with Canada, with Brazil for fossil fuels. They are determined to build their economies no matter how much pollution it costs.
Yeah, no wonder they didn't show up to the UN. They couldn't show their face. It was embarrassing for them. And,
But do you think they care so much that they would be embarrassed?
But why should
they care at all? They're not going to show up. And here's the thing. Look, I was born in Kentucky. My family, they're all coal mining folks, and they really are done. Tracy's right. They're suffering. It's desolate now. And people are not going to be able to afford their heating bills this winter. We're getting into winter.
We're already at record electricity, and we had a cold winter.
Why should they care? Because you know what India and China say to us when they sit down in the United States? Say, you know what? You ruined the environment for 100 years. They come
It's not necessarily about that either. India's issue right now is that only a fourth of the population does not have electricity. They're not even concerned about this right now. The prime minister is more concerned with sanitation and getting those people people electricity. That is why
Let's
he
talk
didn't show
real
up.
quick, though, guys, because when you start talking billions, even trillions of dollars, there's money to be made on the investment side. You got an investment idea on this?
I do. When asked about how to respond to this whole climate issue, look, I believe water. To say it's liquid gold, I guess would be redundant. Of course, it's liquid, but purifying water. Veolia is the French company. VE. That's in the environmental services. They specialize in water management, waste management, energy. It's water that's going to dominate.
It's called Vivient Solar. It's going public. They just announced the terms of their IPO. They're trying to raise $350 million. Competitor to Solar City. They take about 8% market share for solar panels here.
I got a kind of outside one called Gentherm, THRM. What they do is it's auto parts. They take convert the exhaust heat and electric power. It's going to be used in Tesla's cars and potentially Toyota as well. THRM.
All right, and I like ADES. They actually help these coal plants convert. It's very expensive, and they're one of the few. If you want to stay in business as a coal plant, you got to use their product. All right, guys, up next, for anyone who's been watching, well, a lot of people always send us emails about their kids, but now I got a great letter about the grandkids. Now, they talk about a custodial Roth IRA. We're going to explain it all to you. Good thing we got Tracy here. Hey, we'll be right back in 3 minutes to make you money. Time now for Ask Payne. You know, I received a letter, and it was very touching and impressed me. It was from two grandparents in California, Neil and Nancy, and they said, "Dear Mr. Payne, we would like your help selecting an investment for our two young granddaughters for whom we have opened custodial Roth IRAs. They have very limited funds now, so commissions are a big factor, and trading would not be an option until the account grows." First, I want to talk about the benefits of a Roth IRA, particularly for kids, Tracy.
It's quite genius because the money grows tax-free and it compounds, and these kids can inherit this, and the money's just theirs. There's no taxes whatsoever. The custodial part is the most important part of that whole sentence, though, because as a custodial Roth IRA, the kids don't have control till 18 or 21, depending on the state. And that's really important because otherwise the Roth is in the kid's name and he can go buy his first car. If you worry, even that 18 or 21, then you go the traditional IRA route. And then they have to wait to the qualified withdrawals later in life.
It's like 59, 65.
Yeah, if you think your kid's going to be, the grandkid's going to be a nutter, then do that. Otherwise, 18 to 21 with a custodial.
All right, very thoughtful grandparents. By the way, they wrote in a letter, right, instead of emailing. I thought that was beautiful. What would you suggest, Jim?
Oh, man, I mean, I'd be buying America, and by that I mean things like a Coca-Cola. I'd be buying things like an ExxonMobil. If I think about, you know, you're almost your blue chip, put it away.
Pays a dividend.
Pays a dividend, income earning, and just let it sit there, and you know you'll do well over the life of this investment.
Ethan?
Walt Disney, Apple, I mean, those kind of stocks, I think, are just long-term growth stocks. You just hold on to those.
Buy American. Is that okay, Matt? Buy American. Can I do that? Is there for the
Well,
kids?
we've got a theme. Let's see if Matt concurs.
I like international as well, but I own Disney. I bought for clients recently. But I would also just go with a market ETF like the Spiders, the SPY. A good start because you get the 500 largest companies here in the United States. It's a good way to get exposure to everything.
And I think I would say IBM. And, you know, the one part about the letter that was interesting, not a lot of money. People say that to me a lot, and it's a red flag because that means, Charles, I want to buy a $2 stock that can go to 200. That is the code. I know the code. I know the code. Don't worry about buying a $100 stock, a $500 stock, even if you're buying 1 or 2 shares. The idea is buying something quality, a great name. You hear the theme, American. I think IBM, despite its near-term problems, will be around for another 100 years, and people will make a lot of money on it. That was a great letter. Thanks a lot. Really appreciate it. All right, now, two of my ideas that are down, believe me, I have more than 2, but 2 are down that I think are screaming buys right now. You're going to get them in just a bit. And sooner or later, we're going to have to send ground troops to fight wars. Now, the good news is they're going to be ready like never before. The soldier of the future and how you can make money on it. All right, guys, got to blow the whistle here. Let's open up a page from Payne's investment playbook. Hey, let's call it Iron Man. Now, as the White House puts off ground troops in the Middle East, let's face it, there's no doubt sooner or later, Americans will be called upon to fight on foreign soil. And the next time around, we should have super soldiers, right, armed with robotics and technology that will help them heal and move a whole lot faster. Now, check out this jetpack thing. This is being developed at the Arizona State University. It's going to allow soldiers, all of them, to run at the speed of Olympic sprinters. I love it. It's great stuff. Now, by the way, these same soldiers, they're going to be wired for self-healing. That's right. The nervous system will be manipulated so they can take actions right now that you normally would have to wait for medicines for. It will trigger certain things in your body. Self-healing. Absolutely amazing stuff, guys. Let's talk about this. First of all, you know, I don't know. I don't know about us going using ground troops right now in the Middle East. although we know it's inevitable, right? But it's really not hard to conceive. At some point, we're going to have robots and they'll be remote control. But between now and then, I think this kind of stuff really makes our soldiers formidable. It gives them an edge. Also, some great investment opportunities. So, Jim, the soldier of the future, right around the corner.
If around the corner is 15, 20 years, it might be around the corner.
I'm thinking like
But
5 years or less.
I do think robotics is going to play a role in keeping our military safer, and technology and companies that can keep them safer, detect roadside bombs. Look where we've been successful: unmanned aircrafts, satellites, and I guess things like the iRobot's PackBot, for example, that can help disarm roadside devices. Those are
you like iRobot,
I
IRBT?
Yes, and that's what's going to be effective and valuable right now.
Didi, this is pretty cool stuff, though, right?
Yeah, it is. I think this is where we need to put our money, not into climate control or climate change. We need to put it in the military. Look, this is the #1 task of the president. The commander-in-chief is to protect Americans. So what should we do? We should invest in the military. This is all very important. We want to be ahead of the game, so we should absolutely go for it.
Yeah, and I tell you what, when we first went into Iraq, and it became sort of a door-to-door urban fighting, we took a lot of losses we weren't prepared for by crude things, improvised explosive devices and things like that. So, Heath, the notion of getting ahead of the curve is, to me, fantastic.
Yeah, I think this is a robotics that you can get up behind, It's not something that's frightening. It's actually benefiting us. And, yeah, absolutely. I love how it integrates into our soldiers', body type and makes them go fast. It's an incredible thing. Incredible.
Is there any, do you have any investment ideas on this?
So I found a stock. It's called PTC. It's a U.S.-based computer software company. It does 2D and 3D printing, but it also does service management for computer software. So I think this is going to be one of those companies that's going to be integrated into the robotics, that's managing this computer software and how everything is kind of being implemented into those systems.
Tracy, you got a minute? It's kind of cool stuff. I mean, sometimes you're skeptical, but this stuff is really kind of cool.
No way. First of all, I'm all about the robots. I wish I would love 3 or 4 in my own home. Imagine if we got to a point though where our front line was all robotics.
It would be
and
amazing.
we would not have to risk one life.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's amazing. I think that is where
then we could draw red lines in the sand.
Imagine.
Real ones.
Real ones, yeah. What about you, Matt?
I think it's great. I like Lockheed Martin here. They have their own exoskeleton program called the Human Universal Load Carrier, and it kind of goes on these titanium legs you put on. It allows the soldiers to lift up to 2 and 3 times what they can normally lift. So certain situations like that keeps them safe, helps them run faster. And Lockheed Martin's such a behemoth. I think they can make inroads in this.
That jetpack thing is so cool, but I got bad knees. I wonder about stopping.
Yeah, there is that.
I'm like, damn, that's pretty cool. Like, how do you stop this bad boy?
That's why the guy had a helmet on. They just stop by hitting into
I
something.
need a lot more than
Very
that.
slowly, Charles, very slowly.
I like a company called Cyberonics. I've played it many times in the past. CYBX is a stock symbol. Right now, they do something that helps people control epilepsy, but it's all about manipulating brain waves and controlling the synapses and all of these things. I'm telling you, there's so many applications for this. When they perfect this stuff, we'll be able to do pain management. So stop people from hurting, because pain is one of the main things that we really have to fight in this country.
Charles, the 3D system is Triple D, one of the 3D printing companies. They actually print an entire exoskeleton with a 3D printer, and they with a company called Exobionics, which is a
what was it made out of? Was it plastic though?
I don't have that in here, but I know that they introduced it in February of this year.
Or how about Rewalk? They were on Barney Stewart had the gentleman on who wore the pack. He got up and walked. The whole thing brought tears to my eyes. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And the best part was the gentleman said when they told him to stand up, he could walk. He said he didn't want to. He just wanted to see the world from that height.
It's really, I'm telling you, that's so funny because I mentioned Rewalk on this show first. The stock went up and pulled back. A lot of people on Twitter upset. It's up almost $4 today. Yeah. These kind of stocks are going to be volatile, but if you love a story like this, and Rewalk is an Israeli company, I love it though. To your point, it's an amazing company. Well, last week, YouTube Space announced it was going to offer creators, people who do these YouTube channels, access to all kinds of great equipment, support, all this to enhance their creativity and innovation. Now, it's just the latest effort by this site to expand the support and full marketing and advertising for creators with these large fan base. And I got to tell you something, this thing is huge. It's creating all kinds of superstars of all ages, even what they call Gen Z or boomlets. Take a look at this kid. That's Evan. Evan TV. A couple years ago, this kid and his dad, they made some stop-motion clay models of videos, and they just kind of posted them on YouTube, wanted to share it with their friends. Well, this kid, Evan, now he makes $1.3 million every single year, Tracy.
I love this. My kids are obsessed with Bethany Moda. She like teaches them how to braid.
Is that
their
the
hairs.
makeup woman?
She does makeup and braids and all this stuff. I mean, Jenna Marbles is hysterical. And my son watches this show called Sneak Peek, and this guy, his name is George Keel. He goes into the closets of like DJs and all these celebrities, and they just talk sneakers. It's the craziest thing, but they're making money hand over fist.
It's absolutely, absolutely amazing. What do you think, Didi?
I think we should all have a competition, give it about a month, and see who gets the most followers, who makes the most money. Because it is making money.
You got an advantage of it's on the internet, though, because you just won an Emmy for your show.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I
but
hear
you
you,
know,
I hear
somebody's
you.
got to do it. But that's the new thing. I mean, you know,
is.
less TV and the young people. You know, it's not TV anymore. I mean, it really isn't. I mean, they're into the
I
internet.
can't remember the last time I saw the TV on in my son's room, unless he was playing a video game.
Well, and I also have to add, too, that Jared's dad is also a producer. He produces television. He produces commercial spots and stuff. So I think he had, I mean, I'm sorry, not Jared's dad.
Evan.
Evan's dad, Jared, is a television producer and produces these things for him. But I think the real investment opportunity here is GoPro. I mean, when you put production into the hands of everyone else, where do you think people are going to get that equipment? I mean, GoPro, yes, it's a camera that costs, you know, upwards of $300 to $500. But when you want to start making money off of these YouTube videos, that's where you're going to go ahead and do it.
I think it's smart on YouTube's part now to recognize, you know what, let's step this up. This is crazy. We got these guys. Let's enhance it a little bit.
This is all about content. YouTube is a distribution channel, and YouTube is tapping into and now trying to strengthen this really very inexpensive talent pool that they can source. On the GoPro, it's a camera company, and while I love it as a camera company, when it gets valued as a technology company is where I lose interest.
They are starting to their own production company, though. So they're making that content arm to their
But to your point, Charles, the TV's only been on during football season. Because that's the only live TV that anybody watches these days. So does that mean you start shorting the cable companies?
I wouldn't be a buyer, that's for sure. I think cable companies are in huge, huge trouble. And I like the way Netflix got whacked today. A couple more whacks like that, and I'm back on the Netflix bandwagon. I mean, listen, a few years ago, I discovered Netflix when I discovered I was the only one in the house without a Netflix account. We were all sitting in a family room, right? My daughter had one, my son had one. What the heck is going on? The dogs had one. What the heck? What is this Netflix thing? I got to tell you, and here's the funny thing. I was at Cheesecake Factory 2.5 years ago, and three kids in front of me. They all had to be 19, 20. One kid was laughing, and my dad's still short the stock, but he did the whole thing when you watch a whole series in one day.
Binge watch.
Binge watch Breaking Bad. I knew they were talking about Netflix, so the kids get it. This kid was even laughing at his dad losing money because he couldn't be hip.
You and Kevin Spacey, getting on the Kevin Spacey bandwagon. I like it. I agree with you.
All right, guys. Any investment idea in this?
IAC Interactive. They own Vimeo and they own Electus, which produces the content and distributes the content.
I will say IACI is a stock symbol. Yeah. Barry Dillard's the CEO. Their headquarters is in New York. The only thing that worries me, there's not a single column in the building that's straight up and down.
It is the coolest building.
It is a very cool
Yeah, but I would not work on the top floor because when they were building it, every column was sideways. I didn't see anything just like, was that perpendicular? Like everything was like.
Go to the IAC offices in LA. They're all perpendicular.
All right, thank you. All right, guys, my investment ideas are coming up in just a bit. Now, these are names you've heard before. They've all pulled back. I think it's a chance for us to get into them cheaper. And also, send in your questions. Great tweets so far. I'm here to help you. You guys flooded me today. You kept me busy. Keep it right here if you want to make money.
And now, it's time for Upon Further Review.
New survey out by Udemy suggests that workers do feel there's a real skills gap in this country. Like people they just don't have what it takes to get into the job market, except there's really no one to blame. Take a look at that. 61% of Americans say absolutely there's a serious skills gap, but 95% said that they're either qualified or even overqualified. And so this whole thing is no fault of their own. And now, of course, as you go down, gender perceptions are even wider. 68% of men believe that there's a skills gap compared to only 55% of women. But on further review, who are we blaming for this? Just delusional. Inadequate training, inadequate schools, businesses not helping us out, or what's the deal, Didi? How can there be such a disconnect between people who acknowledge, you know what, we've got a huge problem in this country, but it ain't me.
I think we all need to take a look and say, look, we can all improve. We should always learn. We continue with school, or continue with classes, or continue with, anything that'll make us do better. But 95%, that is absolutely ridiculous. And I think in other countries, I'll give you this one, Matt, about other countries, I do maybe think that they're better at the training and continuous training, because you can't stop. When you get out of college, you got to do it your whole life to make yourself better.
And Americans, don't they say we perceive ourselves a little bit higher than we really are? When we look ourselves in the mirror, you would think we're a little bit better than we really are.
Which is a good thing, but you still
right,
can learn more
is.
and be better.
Yeah.
But there's no need to go out and educate yourself, Charles, when you could stay home and just collect.
Well, you know what, though, Jim? It's the same thing, though, with a lot, right? People say, well, I'm okay, but the country is in bad shape. I'm okay, but these people are messed up. I mean, it's sort of to Matt's point. We always kind of feel good about the person in the mirror.
Look, there is a skills gap, and I think, and your poll nailed that. And I will say, for example, we as a company are going to do something about it because we're developing a computer training program and finding new talent because the computer and technology skills are few and far between.
Although I bet that the people that even qualify for the training have to have some sort of skills to begin with, no?
Absolutely. I don't think I can get a job in my own company right now, given my lack of computer skills. But yes, I think people have a little self-awareness issue.
Let's switch gears just a little bit here. Now, there was a rumor last week that Chanel was releasing a new product. It was going to be called the Urban Tie Cap. Now, it was really just what you would be a 30-cent do-rag for those who aren't familiar with it. People were shocked. You know, the couture fashion industry would try to capitalize on this. But even though it was a rumor, the fact that it was floating around at Fashion Week was pretty interesting to me, guys. So, you know, Heatha, upon further review, Chanel, maybe if they did come out with something like this, could probably charge $200, $300 for it and sell it.
They probably could, but everyone knows.
What does that say about us?
You know, it says that we're obsessed with labels like the rest of the world. People love to, you know, if something has a fancy label on it. But just to clarify, these do-rags were backstage at this fashion show called for Derek Lam, and the person that was doing hair was trying to mat down the hair to like make it. They were on the runway. But to your point, you are right. If Chanel had a label on the back of it, I'm sure
people would sell.
those
girls are
thousands of
they look
dollars.
pretty darn good in that. I wear a do-rag on a run in the morning. I don't know if I paid $300 for one,
my
but
God.
they looked amazing in it. I guarantee it'll be a top
Yes,
seller.
because it is aspirational but achievable all at the same time.
True.
Look, if I really cared, which I don't, but if I was label conscious and I wanted to wear Chanel, that's probably the only product in the whole
That
store I
is
could
crazy.
afford.
You guys are crazy. Chanel,
No,
for one,
it's
would never
genius.
do that. It's not genius.
It
Because
is
it's not goes
absolutely.
along.
It's much
Chanel
like
is
it's much
upscale
like
and chic.
Louis
It
Vuitton
would
makes
not work.
belts.
There's no way.
Why would Louis Vuitton stoop
Chanel
down and
wouldn't
make a
even
belt?
touch that. There's no way they would
Would a
even do
do-rag
it.
help me with
Chanel belts.
my hair issue? Would a
Let me check
do-rag
you out.
would a do-rag help?
No, you're way past
If
the
it were
do-rag.
Chanel,
Never
yes.
go there.
I think it's
not gonna
retail
happen.
genius.
I would say, though, I know a lot of poor kids in the projects, and they do have Louis Vuitton belts, Gucci belts, real belts, and it blows me away that these poor kids would buy that, and they would buy a Chanel
Yes, they would.
do.
It's all
Not
about
like-
accessorizing,
they
Charles.
look like they didn't look like cats. I don't know what they look like. They look very strange.
You got to go run with
Fashion
Matt one
forward.
day. All right, guys, listen. I got a twofer coming up for you, right? Two stocks in one hit. Now, listen, tech stocks under a tremendous amount of pressure. So these ideas, you're going to have to put on your big boy pants because they're real volatile. But at the end of the day, I really feel like you're going to ring the register big time. So when we come back, I'm going to make you some money, or at least try. All right, guys, try and make you some money here. I want to take a look at two names I've mentioned in the past. I still believe they're going to go up much higher. I love the action in Mobileye today. Now, the stock is down a lot, though, along with all these other high flyers. Made a huge reversal intraday today. I think it found a bottom, and I think it's going to really go significantly higher. But again, I'm going to remind you, very volatile, but hundreds of original equipment manufacturing deals in the pipeline. The company is going to grow 60% every year minimum for the next 5 years. They did $33 million in revenue last quarter. $20 million of it went to free cash flow. They do the pedestrian collision stuff, lane departure, all that collision stuff you see in the BMW ads, that is them. So I'm looking for the stock to rally north of $60. And then there's another favorite, GT Advanced. Well, let's face it, they didn't make the cut with the iPhone. I still think, though, it's a serious long-term deal, and I think Apple is going to be a real big part of their future, beginning with the iWatch. There's still a lot of skeptics out there. There's one firm looking for $9 on the downside, so that means to me you want to use $10.50 as a stop, but on top of that, look for a move to 12 and then a breakout from 12 to take you to $15. So those are the two names that are down. Those are two names I still think you should be looking at. All right, and tonight you don't want to miss Cavuto. And let's see what he has in store.
Well, thank you, Charles. Tonight on Cavuto, are we focusing on the wrong threat? The terror group many say is scarier and even more dangerous than ISIS. Tonight at 8, right here on Fox Business.
Wow. Scary to nicest. Thanks a lot, Neil, I think. All right, listen, now we all know it's all about passion for me. I love to help others. I want you to learn. I want you to understand, have the confidence, especially when the market goes down. Now, a lot of people are frustrated they didn't get that hot IPO. You know which one I'm talking about. Do not fret. I'm going to tell you how it really, really works. So maybe next time you will get a piece of the action, or you may not care. $25 billion, this was a so-so party. I've seen companies raise $5 million and throw parties twice as big as this. All right, that was me on Varney earlier today talking about Alibaba. Now, on Friday, there was a lot of discussion about the fairness of small investors having to wait to buy Alibaba at $92.70 instead of getting it at $68 or cheaper. I got to be honest, I was actually shocked how many people I thought were capitalists sounded like Elizabeth Warren. Jack Ma and early investors, they didn't take all the risk. They didn't build this company. That's according to people who normally would criticize everything about progressives. Now, the thing is, the thinking has to be applied to a whole lot of things. Think about this. People who fly coach, others fly first class, and then there's some people who fly private jets. We can ask if it's fair or not, but we know what the real deal is. Investors who got Alibaba at 68 probably do a lot of business with those brokerage firms. They just didn't show up, or they don't show up a couple of times a year and say, hey, what's a hot IPO? Give me some because it's fair. It's not about being lucky. It's not about being unfair. Ironically, there was little demand for Facebook this year when it came down to $30 a share. You could have bought all you wanted, but you didn't. No one said it was hot. It was looking kind of weak, right? The stock market isn't about luck. It's about taking advantage of opportunities and the kind of commitment that goes way beyond just rolling the dice and showing up for the hot moment. In the meantime, think about this. We're all lucky in the sense that we have certain gifts that are bestowed upon us at birth and through life's experiences. Casual observers of the stock market would do well to remember that. Getting rich in the stock market is a long-term and often painful process, but your natural blessings are something to be grateful for. So you can create and manage your portfolio, you can reach your goals, and occasionally, guess what? You might even get a piece of a hot IPO, Matt.
Yeah, and you're probably not going to get a piece of a hot IPO, so don't think that way. But I think, like you said, we all have an opportunity to open a brokerage account and put money in there, invest in our financial future. We had a guy tweeting at us today, Charles, saying, it's rigged, the market's rigged. That gets me so upset when I hear that. Maybe it is rigged in your opinion, but the fact is you can go buy Facebook stock right now, Alibaba stock right now, and put it in your portfolio as American. We can go and do that.
What do you think, Tracy?
I mean, I think at a minimum, people should be maxing out their 401ks. And if you are scared and you think it's rigged, buy an ETF. Buy the spiders, the S&P 500. Yeah. Just go clean across the board, and then you get a piece of everything.
It's just so funny because, as a broker, I remember allocating IPO to the people that did the most business with me. And by the way, if an investor did get IPO who didn't do a lot of business with me, you probably didn't want it. Okay? Red flag, you got the IPO. Red flag, you don't want it.
I was on that side while I was at Bear Stearns for the 2 years that I was out of college. We were doing the initial public offerings on the institutional side. So I know that well. But to everyone's point here, as an individual, you have to be more proactive with your accounts, at least get into something. You don't want to just put your money into savings and just let it grow.
You're not just going to show up and get the hot IPO. Real quick, time for the marching orders. All right, this tech sell-off is really amazing, guys. It's exposing all the weaker hands of individual investors versus institutional investors. And the heat of the moment happens. People are going to be under a lot of pressure. Here's the thing. You want to think about owning stocks right now, 6 months from now, where are they going to be? 6 years from now, where are they going to be? And that's what I like to talk about all the time during the show. Hey, in the last minute, a lot of great tweets. I want to share a couple with you. This one was fantastic from Kidney Bean. I think real. I'm over 50 female. I can install a toilet. None I know under 25 male or female know this skill. What do you think, Didi?
I think she's fantastic. I think we should all be like her and be able to fix a toilet, install a toilet. I think we should be able to do anything and everything, so good for her.
What about this one, though? Mrs. Chief said skills gap, it definitely exists. Jim?
Absolutely, especially in terms of computer technology. And by the way, people can address that for themselves. You put a list of potential blames up there, government, schools, individuals, the answer, all the above.
Yeah, especially now. You can almost self-teach yourself a lot of this stuff. Hey, great show. Really appreciate it, Didi. Thanks a lot. We have fun.